Okay, this is talking about GTA 5. I think before I start talking about this, I should note that I didn't play the online at all. I don't care about the online on GTA. I've played GTA since the first one. It's always been a one-player game to me, and I don't know. Nothing about GTA Online entices me in any way. I'd just rather play other games online, and that's fine if you want to and you like it, and that's cool. Just take into account that I didn't play the online at all when I'm talking about this. I think I'm just kind of going to go through a list of pros and cons. Well, as far as pros, I like the main characters and I like the idea of the story more than the actual execution of the story. They all three of the main characters are really cool in my opinion. They're not as deep as the past characters because obviously you have to split up amongst the same amount of time amongst three characters. The lighting in the game looks a lot better. Than in 4. I think it's from Red Dead. I'm not sure, but it looks a lot better. And it does. The game looks a bit better than 4. It still runs kind of on PS3. I didn't play the 360 version, but it still has the slower frame rate and pop in of cars and a bunch of cars spawning, which I didn't expect to change. I don't know why anyone would have. So yeah, the shooting is a little better than 4's was from what I remember. The gun mods and stuff are a nice addition. I don't feel like they really made that much of a difference. I think it would have been cooler if it added a scoped view or something that you could flick on or off or just anything, other than just being a gun just basic oh, it's silenced now, even though you rarely have to use that at all in XYZ. I think that Trevor is a really, really cool character. I could see people hating him, and that's fine. But I personally thought he was just awesome, and I really liked the way they introduced him. And I don't really want to spoil it, but his introduction is a really good depictor of how fucking insane he is. And, it's just a good... It's kind of like a geeky, holy shit, I can't believe they did that with this character. The missions in 5, the missions that are... actually really missions, I don't really know how to explain. The ones that have heavy gameplay are really cool. They are really good, and most of the heists and stuff like that. Anything where they use the 3-player switch really interestingly is really they're really fun. It's really cool, and they did a really good job as far as the switching at the certain points and things like that. I also thought the impound was kind of a cool idea. I wish it would have been a little more I don't know. I wish it would have been more than 2 cars and a little more you have a list or something like that. The ending was good. It was alright. It was I don't know, it wasn't a step up or down from 4 in my opinion, or San Andreas. It was just kind of it was what I expected, but I am glad that that's what it was. Sometimes you're oh no, I don't want it to be what I expect. I would prefer something different, but I was actually kind of happy with the ending because I really I don't know. I just thought it fit. It should have been how it was. And the last one is when the character swap works, it is really cool and it can enhance the game. And it did make me geek out and blow my little nerd load a few times. It's pretty fucking sweet. But yeah, overall, there's some good to this game. I definitely think there's going to be a lot of people who enjoy it. Obviously, I mean, it's already out, and obviously already a bunch of people have enjoyed it, and that's cool. But I'm going to get into the list of cons now, and this is kind of why the game, to me, was just kind of an average game. I greatly preferred 4 and San Andreas to this game, and these are the kind of the reasons why. I feel like the multi-character story it's worse. It's not as good as the focus on one character or one character's struggle, because they don't, like I said earlier, they don't have enough time to flesh out all of the characters. They just I don't know, they just kind of they just leave the story feels like Franklin feels kind of minimized. His story's very, very simple. Michael is just kind of I mean, his story is kind of the main. If I wanted to say there was a main character, it would be him. And Trevor is kind of just insane and crazy and does crazy shit. And I really like Trevor, and I liked him and Michael's interactions and all that. But there wasn't that much development in the characters to me. It feels like each character main character in Grand Theft Auto 5 to me felt like maybe like 1.5 times more developed than like a Brucey or a Little Jacob or any of the supporting cast members from 4. And that brings me to another thing, is that like 5 has like no supporting cast, like really very little. I think there's like Lester and Wade, and I don't even like the supporting cast is so bad I don't even honestly remember the name of Trevor's little dude who runs his business. Like there's really no supporting cast, because they decided to take the missions like instead of like in 4 where they'd have, you know, all the side missions kind of like fleshed out more of the story. In this one, like all the missions are replaced by like freaks and weirdos and shit. Like in 4, they had the thing where you'd be driving or whatever, and you'd see some little dot appear on your map, and you'd be like, oh shit, what's that? You go to it, it would be, you know, like a mission from like one of Nico's friends from, you know, East Europe, or it would be, you know, they had the mission with the fucking serial killer where, you know, you hear about the serial killer the whole game, and then you pick him up and you drive him to drop off, and he's got the little duffel bag with the bodies or whatnot, as far as I remember. And they kind of changed every mission in 5, or most of them that aren't like just straight up Michael, Francis, Trevor missions, into that. And I think that the story is a lot weaker because of it, and I think that it's a lot less enjoyable because there's no supporting cast. I mean, in 4 you had like the fucking McCreary brothers, you know, like you had their sister, you had fucking Little Jacob, fucking you know, Dwayne and Playboy's little bullshit. You had fucking Brucey, his brother, just all that shit, the Lost in the Dam kind of shit. You had tons and tons and tons and tons of characters, and that to me is what has always made GTA, since they at least stepped their game up to like, since I think like around like in between Vice City and San Andreas, because like Vice City had like the makings of it, but they didn't really have it entirely. But I don't, you know, that's the reason that I really like GTA. Like I said, I've been playing them since 1, but until San Andreas, like, to me the series was just a lot of fun. You just, you know, jump on, kill a bunch of people, have some fun, go on a rampage, do this, that, XYZ. You know, do the missions, but you don't like you. I would always do the missions in 3 and Vice City just so I can unlock everything, because I wanted all the other shit. Whereas in San Andreas, I really, even though, you know, and I know the story is fucking terrible, like, but it's that little geeky nerdgasm shit. Like, it's one of those feel good, like, I don't know, I just can't help but love it. I love the story of San Andreas. Like, it was really fucking fun, and it was really silly. And I love the, you know, the characters like James Woods on Torino and shit like that. It was just, and that was the first one that I truly was just like, this is a really fucking good game, like really good game, and I really enjoy it. And 4 to me continued that. I know a lot of people hated 4 for, you know, their reasons. I'm not going to get into it, but people really didn't like 4. I fucking love 4. I thought 4 was amazing, and like I understand why they had to take out what they had to take out, because, you know, you gotta understand, San Andreas was the 3rd iteration of that engine on PS2, you know, near the PS2's end of its lifespan, whereas 4 was a earlier PS3, you know, 360 game, and it was the, you know, the first iteration of that engine in that with those graphics and all that shit. So they had to take out a lot of stuff, and yeah, it sucked, but that they had to take stuff out. But it was like, to be honest, what they added in to me was greater than what they took out, as far as like as a cohesive game. Like, as far as just straight up gameplay, I'd be fucking lying through my teeth if I said Grand Theft Auto 4's gameplay was better than San Andreas's. Like, you know, so I understand that if you're just all about 100% about the gameplay, fuck the story, fuck all the characters and shit, that's cool. I totally trailed off. I don't know what the fuck I'm even talking about anymore. Anyway, one of the things in 5 for me is that the driving to me in 5 is, you know, you get used to it, and it's actually probably just equal to 4's, but like at first, it's really doesn't feel as good as 4. And one of the things that just absolutely I don't like is the change to the motorcycles, where you can't, you know, wheelie them at your own free will and things. I really dislike that change, because that was one of my favorite things to do on motorcycles, just drive around trying to wheelie and bullshit like that. And I don't know, it sounds like such a little thing, but is big to me. I didn't like it. I feel like the map is it's not, this is gonna sound so dumb, it's not too small, but I feel like the city is too small for the map. There's so much map and there's so little city, And I mean, you have to take into account that, like, in this game, they open it all from the beginning. It's not like the past ones. And because of that, I feel that, like, there's very, very few missions outside of the city. So it's like, it's all contained and shit. But then when you got to go out, way out to do that one fucking mission, like, way at the top of the map, it just takes fucking forever to get there. And it's silly. Like, I don't know. I feel like they really dropped the ball as far as that, too. Like, the missions in the past ones were in, you know, they were a lot more, they had a lot better progress. You go from, like, you know, here's this side of the island, here's the second island, here's the third island. And now it's just kind of like, hey, buddy, go wherever the fuck you want. But most of the missions are going to be here in the city. And there's really, I don't know. I just didn't like that. Stats, they brought back stats. And I think a lot of people were excited about this. But to be honest with you, like, I don't even know why they brought them back or put them in the game. There's no reason for stats to be in this game at all. Like, they're just silly and dumb, and they don't. It's not like San Andreas, and even in San Andreas, like, I personally didn't really care about the stats in San Andreas or like them, but at least in San Andreas there was just a lot of things to do with them or ways to change them and shit like that, whereas in this it's just like, I just don't feel like they should be in it. They don't serve any purpose, and I mean, I guess it's kind of like to make you, like, when they first introduced characters, to be like, oh, well, Trevor flies good, and Franklin's a good driver because he's a repo man, and Michael's good at stealth because he's a fucking thief, but it just feels dumb. Like, I didn't like it at all. They put back in rampages, and like, it fits Trevor's character, I guess, but it's, you know, I don't know. There's really not much. You just stand around and shoot people to death. Like, it's not that hard. It's not fun in particular. It's just like busy gameplay. Like, it's just like, here, do this. This is one more thing to do. Do this. Missions, in my opinion, variety is not as good to me as in 4 or as in San Andreas. Like I said, the missions that are good are really fucking good. Like, really good. But the missions that aren't are just, like, why is this even in the game? Just boring, like, in my opinion. Like, and I guess the same could be argued with 4. Maybe I just like Liberty City more. But I felt like 4, in general, gameplay-wise, used what it was doing. Like, anything that they introduced in 4 as a new gameplay device was used a lot. Was used at least, it felt like 3 or 4 times. Like, you know, they introduced the phone and you're like, oh, cool, a phone, whatever, who the fuck cares? But then they have missions where, you know, you'll fucking call a guy, like, oh, we need to find this guy, and, you know, nobody, like, you don't know where he is, but you know his phone number, so you go down to the pier and you call him, and then you look for the guy with the ringing phone, and then you beat the living shit out of them, and, like, that was cool to me. That's a really cool gameplay option. It's the same thing as, like, when you get in the police cars and you can type in people's names and search them up and go get them. That was cool. Like, a lot of the shit that they introduced in 4, the phone, it just felt really good. Like, it felt like they really understood, like, how to use it in gameplay. And, yeah, 5 to me, like, it doesn't feel like they used the character switch as much as they should have, or as well as they should have. Like I said, there's areas of them getting it right, but by the end of the game, when you're on the last mission, which in a lot of ways to me was like one of the pinnacles of using the swap, or not the pinnacles, but it was just one of the really interesting ways. I feel like they should have used it a lot more in that way, as opposed to how they did throughout the game. It's the last mission, you know, and then it's just like, okay, like, who cares? Like, it's like you should have been doing that halfway through the game or earlier. Like, yeah. And there, like I said, there's only a handful of what to me felt like really missions. Like, most of them are just kind of like drive X to Y, and the area's like so fucking big that it gets a little annoying. Like, it's just kind of like, oh great, more driving from point A to point B. And like I already said, I think 4 just had better and more varied missions than 5. I already talked about this one, the total lack of good side characters compared to 4 and San Andreas. Yeah, I already talked about that. This is the thing, too, when I was talking about the Freaks and the Strangers missions, instead of fully fleshed out side missions that tie interestingly into the main plot, or, like, you know, because the thing is about old GTA is like, you didn't have to do like all the side missions. You could just rush through the main plot and be like, fuck it, if you didn't care about it, that's cool. But that's like, to me, this is just a matter of preference. The way I like my storytelling is like a Demon Souls or a, Diablo 2 or a I don't know, I can't think of a good example right now, but that kind of way where it tells the story for people who want it, and for people who don't want it, it's a game. I think that's one of the benefits that games have over other mediums, is that you can choose how invested you are in the story. And I think that's really cool for people like me who really like lore and story and plot and characters. And then, on the same hand, you're able to give gameplay to people who don't give a fuck about that, which I respect the fuck out. I mean, if you don't care about that, that's fine, because that's what games are. Games are games. Like, and that's the thing is, like, whether people want them to be movies or not, like, games, for me, will always be games first. But it's nice to have that little side, like, hey, we also worked on the lore of it and shit, so that you can kind of explore this game world to your extent. And the thing is to me, because of that, GTA, for me, was always the series. Like, I've never played another open world series and had anywhere near as much fun as GTA. I know people love Saints Row and stuff, and I'm not trying to take away from that or discredit that, because Saints Row is a really fucking cool game too. But to me, the thing that made GTA so cool was that their side missions didn't even feel like side. Like, they always felt like main story missions. Like, there was no... It was just interesting to me. I was like, man, I want to do this mission because I want to see what happens to Brucey or to this character or Little Jacob or blah, blah, XYZ, Caesar or something. And, other games don't do that. They'll just have the ones that are like, the Assassin's Creed 1 ones where it's like, hey, go fucking blend in with these 5 monks and blah, and we'll give you this fucking piece of shit and do it 80 times, like it wasn't fun at all. It wasn't cool. It didn't feel important or impactful in any way. It was just there to be like, hey, we have content in our game, pad the fucking content, and that's boring to me. Because it's really easy for me to see the walls that people place for you in a game environment, and like it's like insulting. It's kind of like eat your shit to me, instead of just being like, hey, you can do this if you want or not. But yeah, and the GTA kind of went from feeling kind of real, in that you're going to run missions for people that you're familiar with. It's like, oh, hey, here's this guy, like, and that's how real life works. I mean, people can deny it all you want if you're like a shut-in or something, but that's how networking works. You meet a person, like Nico meets a guy, like, and then he meets another guy through him. Especially like crime shit, like that's especially how that works. Like, you meet people, and then you get a guy for this, a guy for that. It had that kind of real feeling that you're going to run missions for people and that you're familiar with, and that will open other missions with their contacts, just to being like, where you walk up to, most open world games where you just walk up to a random guy and he's like, hey, dude, like, get me 5 apples, because fuck you, like, just get them for me. Like RPG quests, just filler shit. And, and your character have no motivation to do that. Like, why, who the fuck is this guy? Fuck his 5 apples, I don't care about it. In real life, if someone walked up to you and was like, hey, get me 5 apples, bro, you tell them to go fuck themselves. Also, the phone doesn't really mean shit in this one. Like, I feel like it was just kind of like, they brought it in 4, they utilized it, it was a really cool little tool. And I know a lot of people complained about the friends and things in 4, and, to be honest with you, yeah, there were things about it I didn't like. I thought it was kind of silly your friendship could go down with people. And I didn't really care that people that would call you and ask you shit, because you know what? All you got to do is just say no. Like, it's just like drugs, kids. Just say no, and then you don't got to do it. Who the fuck cares? Like, yeah, oh, big American titties. Okay, just say no. There you go. You don't got to talk to Roman anymore if you don't like Roman as a character. It's too much crying, in my opinion, over some dumb shit like that. But because of all of that crying, I think that they took the feedback and they scaled the phone down to just being garbage. Like, the only feature on it is like the quick save, and it's like, oh, cool, and you can go on the internet from it, which is like, whatever, great, whoop-de fucking do. And they scaled down the friends aspect and like the going out and like, developing more characters and having more side conversations with characters, which, to be honest with you, in a lot of ways I liked in 4. Like, I didn't like how much you had to do it to develop certain characters, but I really liked what they had to say, and I think it was a really cool system in terms of, like, the stuff you would unlock for becoming best friends with people and stuff. It was interesting. And they just took it out of the game entirely. Like it just seems like I hung out with one person in my entire fucking stint in the entire game, and it just was just stupid. Like there's no reason to. And like on top of that, 90% of the time you can't hang out with people because of the mission limits. And it's like, oh well, you know, just because this mission is passed, you can't hang out with this guy anymore. And that's just, it's just dumb. You're just taking more away and not putting anything in to replace it. The new HUD, it isn't as good in my opinion. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not, you know, game breaking or anything. I like the GPS is cool and stuff, but I really just like the old school in 4, the little Grand Theft Auto feel. Maybe make the circle from 4 a little bigger, and it was just easier at a glance to see how much armor and health you had, things like that. Your characters are complete bitches in this game. I'm sorry to say so, but they are. They work for no money at all, except for heists, which even then, like half the heists you do, it's just like, oh, we're going to do this heist because this guy wants me to do it, and we're not going to get any money from it, and blah, 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 blah. And like, you know, considering the stats of the heist guys, like, they give you heist guys. Like, you can hire people on for your heist, and they have these stats, and their cut never increases. The cut they take from your heist never increases, but their stats will increase if you do a heist with them. And to be honest with you, considering the fact they have stats for those guys and things like that, it's really kind of silly to me how few heists there actually are in the game. There's very few, and even then, there's like I don't know. It was a good idea, and it was a good idea to, like, I guess, let you have branching paths in the heists and stuff. But I would have just preferred, however many heists there were, just double that amount of heists and make it so that, each one you just do the other way that you would have done another one at a different building or something. So, for example, every time you do a heist, you get 2 choices. It would have, I think, been better to just have you do both of those types of heists. Like, for the first one, you rob the jewelry store. Spoiler alert. And, you can either go in, like, quiet, or you can just run in and kick the door down and shoot up people and be fucking Trevor McTreverston, fucking Bodie from Point Break. And, the thing is that, what I'm saying is I feel like they should have just made both of those missions, both of those heists, but just at different places. So you have the quiet one at the jewel store, and then you have the loud one somewhere else, just because to me, it would have made the game length longer, would have made the heists more meaningful, there would have been more of them, and they were, let's be honest, they were the highlight of the game. Like, the heists were the most fun missions in the game, generally. So I feel like it was just kind of a wasted choice in game design and things, in my opinion. Let's see. But yeah, back to the characters being complete bitches. Your characters are total bitches in this game, okay? Like, you thought that fucking, I hear people bitch all the time about how, 3 was, when it first came out, was they didn't like it because you're just a bitch for the mafia, and how, most of these, and in 4, you're just a bitch for everybody. When in reality, in 4, you're not, that's the point of 4's story. The point of 4's story is, the plight of the immigrant, working for other people who don't give a fuck about them, doing bitch work. Whereas in this game, it's just stupid. It's like your characters are complete fucking idiots in a lot of ways. It's like, you really expect me to believe that these people are going to work for nothing. And I mean, yeah, they have their balls in a vice grip and stuff, but it's just really annoying. I mean, you literally do missions, you get almost no money at all. And not only that, but you're just bitches for the bad guys or whatever throughout the whole game. And the thing is by because of the way that they ended it, because of the way that the story is paced, to me, it almost feels like the ending should have been the middle of the game. In 4, you got the point where Nico kills Vlad, and it's a big deal, and then the rest of the game opens up, and I thought that was a really cool point. But in 5, it's just kind of oh, that was it? Really? It took a whole game. You literally run around for 40 hours doing bitch work for people. And then you kill them, and it's oh, cool, great, we killed them. We should have killed them fucking 2 missions in, It's just really annoying. It was frustrating to me, and I didn't like it at all. I really felt like a bitch in this game. And one of the other things is, they added the car customization, and that's cool and all, but there's a couple things about it. It sucks to me that you cannot change your main character's owned car. I thought initially that you were going to be able to do that, because in this game, all your characters have, a car. that's kind of theirs, whatever. They all have their own like car. Trevor has a truck. Franklin has like a Mustang type thing, and Michael has like a little 4-door sedan. And I thought that what was going to happen since they added in the customization was that you were going to be able to get the car, get whatever car you wanted, customize it, and then set it like as that character's car. And I think that would have been a lot cooler, and it would have led to a lot more interest in the car customizing. But instead, it doesn't, and it to me kind of makes souping up the cars just a little less like enticing and a little less like interesting. And on top of that, the only car stat you can upgrade is acceleration. Like that's it. Like everything else, like top speed, all that shit. Like too bad if you want to touch that because you're not. That's only acceleration. You can get like different tires and stuff, which is neat, but it just kind of sucks. Like it sucks that that's all you can do. Like it's the other thing. There's the other thing that really. These are the things that kind of really rub me wrong about this game is there's no rewards for anything. I mean, in the past GTA games, you would do stuff and there would be, I just want to do some taxi missions and I just want to see how far I can get in the taxi missions. You'd unlock something. I just want to do vigilante missions. Oh, you'd unlock something. I just want to do paramedic missions, or I just want to do this. You'd unlock something. I want to find the pigeons. You'd unlock something. There was always all the unlockables. It felt like a game, like an old school game where you could unlock shit and there was a lot of extra content you could do if you wanted to. Whereas in this game, you don't get, there's literally, I can't, I haven't played it extensively, I beat it, okay? But what I've noticed, and I did go online and look around, and if I'm wrong on this, I'll eat my words, and I'm sorry, but it seemed like there was no rewards for anything. I mean, you just, no matter what you did, you didn't get anything back. There was no, they just took out all the rewards in general and instead replaced it with fucking trophies, which I don't give a fuck about. It's cool if you like gamer scoring trophies, but I don't care what other imaginary people think about my fake fucking score for me getting game. I would way rather have something that's, you can do and fiddle around with and play with, in the game, than some fucking thing that pops up and is like, hey, congratulations, you have no life and you did this stupid shit for no reason, you don't get anything, haha. That's stupid to me. I really don't fucking like that. That was one of the things I always loved about GTA, and to take it out, for me, really hurt the series for me, I feel like. They also, with saying that, they took out all the vigilante missions, they took out the fire missions, they reworked the taxi missions so that they're just kind of like a way to get money, which after a certain point in the game doesn't really even matter. They took out the paramedic missions. I just really didn't like that choice. I thought the vigilante missions actually saw a really big spike in, I want to say, progress when 4 came around. And the vigilante missions in 4 were really fun, I thought. And they always just added a little bit more. You're just like, oh cool, I'm just going to do some vigilante missions. I'm going to do this, whatever. So yeah, the money in this game, it just simply feels like it's there. Since you don't lose your weapons when you die, the money feels sort of pointless, and you never really have a lot or enough to do anything really until the end of the game. After you do the last heist or whatever, it's just you just have enough to buy clothes and fucking buy some really, really cheap, shitty properties. And which leads me also to the properties are returning finally. Everyone was excited about this. Here come the properties from Vice City, and that was a really good idea in Vice City. I actually replayed that more recently, and I enjoyed it a lot more when I paid attention to how much the properties affected just the overall feeling of the narrative of the game and the game. It was fun, it was cool, and you fucking felt like Big King Scarface Ape. But in this, the properties return, but they fucking suck ass. They don't do shit. You get the properties, and it's like, oh hey, in a week you get XYZ money. It'll take fucking 900,000 hours of gameplay to even replace what you paid for the property. And they open these property missions, yet again, you don't unlock anything, or it doesn't feel like you do. I could be wrong on that. But I did a lot of them, and it didn't unlock shit. It was just like, oh, hey, cool, thanks for doing these property missions. And you didn't get shit for them. And it was just boring. It was just stupid. All the shit you own, it's just like, oh, cool, you own a piece of property now. Whoop-de-fucking-do. And they didn't even think to, with all the changes to the mission structure and the gameplay and shit, I was assuming that that's what the properties were going to be, was like Vice City, where you get a property, and actually, like, generally in Vice City, the story missions were the properties, and they didn't do that. So it's just like, okay, I guess. So the properties suck ass. They're just stupid, no reason to have them. The map, it feels like, it's weird because to me, the map feels a little too small, but it feels way too big to drive around. So it's like this weird, and this is, like I said, this is all just me. This is how I feel. I'm not saying that my opinion is fucking God or set in stone or anything. I'm just saying that to me, the map felt too small, but it felt like too big to drive around. It took forever to get around the map. Yeah, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but the missions are not set to specific areas. Almost all of them are in the city, except freak ones, so you hardly even need to go to the countryside, which makes up about 75% of the map. And I don't really know what to say. I mean, I think that one just kind of speaks for itself. It's just, I just think it's kind of silly. You had to have this whole section of the map and hardly have anything in it or any missions there. It's just stupid, And, one of the things is, like I was saying earlier about the phone in 4 and how, they would, when they added new gameplay features, they would use them to their full extent. Well, in this one, they don't do that. They added water. There's, I think, 2 meaningful water missions, and they're both kind of like, and it's shit like that. It's like, you added water, you added fucking submarines and scuba diving and all this kind of shit, but you hardly used it at all. And that's just, I don't know. I feel like a lot of gameplay was lost there. Yeah, they didn't use the new or returning gameplay features very uniquely or interesting like 4 did, like I said earlier. And like most gamers for me, and not usually GTA, there is a lot to do, but none of it matters or is very fun. Whereas in GTA, like I said, all of the side content to me always felt like more meaningful, or if it wasn't meaningful, it was fun, like the vigilante missions and shit like that. Kind of more of a random event type shit where it's just like, not plotted out. So much missed potential for missions. To reiterate, the water missions, they didn't do shit. They did 2 water missions. Wow, whoop-de fucking do. I think there was, I think there was 1 flying mission. Like, hardly any flying. The heist, there just wasn't enough. Just more missions in general in the wilderness. I think there's not even a single wilderness mission that I can even recall. There were more vehicles than 4 in this game. From I went online to check after I had beaten it because I thought there were less. There were more vehicles than in 4, but to me, it really felt like less. Like there were less vehicles. Maybe I just didn't get lucky, the fucking random encounter rate or something, and didn't see as many vehicles and stuff. And I know this is kind of a personal thing, but it just felt like there were less to me. And it seems like they brought everything back from San Andreas and Vice City that people kind of wanted, but they left the reason that people wanted it was that it was really fun, and it feels like they kind of left the fun out of it. Like there's no hydraulics, there's no coupling like you could do with the tractors. They brought back stats, but they're just pointless. And the options on the clothing was alright, but the hair, I mean, Franklin was the only one who had more than 2 hairdos or 3 hairdos, and it just kind of sucked. It was I feel like there should have been a little more customization in that aspect. This is the first GTA to me. This is kind of one of my summation statements, but this is one of the first GTAs to me that feels less like a game and more like what people are pushing the medium of video games towards, which is the interactive experience that I really just disagree with and don't like, and it does bother me. I don't like that. That's something about this game I really don't like. The main theme, this is so silly, and I'm sure so many of you are probably like, oh my god, really? But the main theme in this game, I mean, it was just so lackluster when you compare it to the other main theme. Since the first one, the main theme of Grand Theft Auto, I'm talking music here, by the way, if you're not aware, has always been really good. Really just fitting of the game. And in this one is just kind of like, I didn't even, honestly hardly even notice there was one, and that kind of sucks. I didn't like that. Um, and also, this is a big one for me too. Is that everybody complained about 4 and cried about how there needed to be checkpoints and how they took it. They didn't. And to be honest with you, in a way, like I can see that. I can see some checkpoints or just in general checkpointing the beginning of a mission. So if you drive there, you don't have to do the drive there again. I can see that. That's reasonable, I think. But I feel like they took it just to the next fucking level of that, and they just made it like babysitting you. Like you can't. Like, you seriously will, like, go into a mission, it'll be, like, 15, mission points or whatever, and as soon as you die, it'll just be like, oh, we'll send you back right to the next one, right before you shot this guy. Like, it's very, very over the top, and the game feels really, really easy because of it. Not that the game ever felt particularly difficult, and not due to cheapness in a way, but it's just too much, in my opinion. It's a little too much hand-holding for me. Not only are there like just insane ultra checkpoints, but you don't lose money if you die in missions because of the checkpoints and or your weapons. So there is effectively really no punishment at all for just running in and being a crackhead and fucking dying over and over and over again. And I don't like that. I really don't. Basically, like, I feel like also one thing I should say so that, people who are watching this and think I'm fucking crazy or something because they think GTA 5 is just way better than 4. And here's the thing. I think 5 has way better gameplay than 4. It just does. It has so much more options to do things. There's, more varied places and things you can do. But I think game design, as far as like level design, mission design, characters, things like that, everything from a game design perspective in 5 to me is much worse than a 4 or a San Andreas. So 5, if you just want to play 5 and you want to get in cars, go crazy, drive around, shoot cops, evade cops, have a fucking fun time, and not really care about the story or whatever, or if you're like all about the online and stuff, then by all means 5 is a great game. It really is. But if you care about the other things like I do, it falls short to me. And it's not even, like, to be honest with you, the sad part about this game is that even falling short, it's still a pretty good game. It's still, I'm glad I played it, and I think it's better than most attempts at AAA, and I fucking hate that word, or that acronym, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, games. It's still better than most of those, because underlying, in a way, it's still a game. It's not just a fucking virtual movie that you sit around and jack off and watch. And I appreciate that. I think that that's good. It's just like I said, this is just kind of a breakdown. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm new to YouTube. And this is something I like. I want to have like a conversation. I like to talk like I'm having a conversation. I don't like to have some kind of outlined list of bullet points about, fucking this and this and this. And I know that some people like that, and that's fine. And I even like that. But it's just not me. I like to talk for great lengths about things that I am excited and like, and I like to explore my points and stuff. So I appreciate you guys listening to this. Thank you. If you liked it, subscribe. I'm not begging for money, but there is a donate button, and I am broke as shit, so if you'd like to see more of this, think about hitting that. Thank you. I appreciate it, and yeah, I don't know, I sound like Ian Malcolm at this point. Bye.